Welcome to Queen Rise Up Women Empowerment, where we empower all women to know their worth. My name is Chantel C. Ross, and I want to thank you for joining me. Here we are once again at the table. This ain't the red table talk, baby, but you know how we do. I want to thank you for joining me today. You know what I want to talk about? Stand in your own lane. Sometimes we have a habit of being in somebody else's lane, looking at somebody else's business, wondering how they doing, what they doing, getting if you busy looking at everybody else and what they're doing, how you gonna get to your destination? And that's a real conversation. And I think, he said, even God says the race isn't given to the swift or the strong, but the one that endures to the end. But one thing about your lane and your endurance, you got to make sure you're in your own lane, being where you're supposed to be, not doing it in nobody else's timing. Because I found out that sometimes people can see things in you that you know that are in you, but it's just not the set timing. So you got to make sure you are in your own lane. Make sure you're not competing with anybody else. Making sure you're running your race, not their race. Because sometimes we're trying to run their race, and we ain't even running our own race. So, what lane are you in today? My last episode talked about getting rid of the dead things. But once you get rid of the dead things, what are you going to do? What lane are you going to get in? How are you going to run with what run with your good fruit? But you know, I'll say this. I think that this is my opinion. Sometimes we're looking at everybody else where they are, and not knowing how they got to their destination. They say everything that glitter isn't gold, or we don't know the process behind their or the progress. Can I say that? I don't know if I said that right, but that's how I felt like saying it. We don't know the process to their progress. I think we did that pretty good, right? So you see the progress of a person, but you don't understand the process of them getting there. And sometimes we have a bad habit of trying to look at everybody else's lane. What God has for you, it's for you. We sometimes compare ourselves. Oranges to apples. Honey, an orange is an orange and an apple is an apple. Let it do what it do and you do what you do. And I think some of those traits come from rejection, can stem from, I say not all, but some can stem from rejection. Not like not knowing who you are, not knowing your identity. So you look at everybody else trying to get your identity when God said, look at me, I made you in my likeness, I made you in my image, but you're trying to compare yourself to the next person. It's so easy to do. I always tell my background because it's a part of my story. Not thinking that I was good enough or didn't measure up, um, to what the person wanted me to be. You your own person. God is molding. He's constantly creating. He's constantly molding you into His image. So you never really arrive. That makes sense. You're always working at getting to a place. So don't compare yourself. Or you ever thought about why can't I sit at the table with this particular person? It ain't your time yet. Sometimes it's not your season. It's not time for you to sit at the table with certain people. So you just keep on going until you get to your destination. There's this man that I love in the Bible. His name is David. Can I tell you, he is one of my favorite among many. But David, when Samuel came looking for David, he wasn't looking for a pop collar and pink lips. Listen to me. No, no. He was looking at a man who had a heart for Christ. Can I say that? Not the outer appearance. Now, don't be thinking because I'm talking about pink lipsticks and glasses that I'm external. Because what you see on the outside is a manifestation of what's really going on the inside. Long story short, it was like David was in the field and tending to sheep. The brothers were looking all good and glamorous, and that's not what God was looking for. David was out in the field in his own lane, doing his own thing with the sheep, um, cleaning up the dung at the end of the day, taking down lions, tigers, and bears. So don't think. And when Samuel came looking for David, he was coming to anoint him for a future date. Can I say it? Somebody said, "Oh, I'm just being set up for a future date." So stay in your own lane for a future day to become king. Even after he took Goliath out, it still wasn't time for his kingmanship. And sometimes we can get ahead of ourselves because we win some battles along the journey. We thinking, oh, I can sit at this table, or I can do this thing. And sometimes God is like, no, I'm preparing you for where you're going. I'm not where you are, but for where you're going. So all of David's preparation, his process to get him to his kingship. And sometimes we are in other people's lanes going too fast, sometimes too slow. Oops, excuse me, not taking in what God is telling you to do or not being obedient to your process. So I want to encourage you today to stay in your own lane. Now, some people lanes, a little bit broader. Some people lanes are a little bit narrower, but get in your lane and work your space because there's an appointed time and appointed season for you. Can I just say that? I believe sitting in front of this camera today, right here, right now, was an appointed time. Not knowing that I was in the process of being made for something bigger and better and greater at the end of the day. Even when Queen Rise Up started, I just trust God in the process. I was obedient along the way. I was afraid, did I tell you? But I said, I'm going anyway. And I kept going. No people, no followers, no nothing. Just keep going. Don't worry about it. Because what God tells you, He ain't told to everybody else. It's personal. So you get in your lane, you work your process. And I always say, just keep showing up. Keep showing up. I don't know if y'all been watching I watched on TikTok where the girls were racing and the young lady was in her lane and the other girl was in her lane, but the one girl was getting ready to take off and beat her in the race, and the one girl hit her with the metal baton. Can I tell you, sometimes in life, I'm talking about spiritually, we be throwing batons and hitting other people because you think they're gonna pass you. No, what God has for you, it is for you. You ain't gotta beat nobody over the head. You ain't gotta, you know what, you don't you get disqualified from the race. Can I just say that? But sometimes, because some other person is passing us, doesn't mean that you're not going to get to your finish line. You might not come in first or second, but you just come right in the season and the time that you're supposed to. I can say that with now I never beat nobody over the head. That's not what I'm saying. But I sometimes used to look in the other lane when I was going through rejection and being ostracized, not thinking that I was enough or that I didn't measure up. When I found out who I really was and my identity in Christ, I found out I was more than enough. I'm enough. Um, and sometimes when we have bad experiences, it makes you feel like you are not enough. It could be childhood trauma and hurt. It could be current pain that you might be experiencing that have you looking in other people's lanes, you know what, and you getting jealous or envious. But you don't know what the person had to go through or had to endure to get into the lane and run it. So don't get mad with the other person. Just get into your space and work your spot. Somebody said, "Let me work my spot." You work your spot. People may be watching you and may become envious of you, but they don't know what you've been through. They can't see the 23 years of torment that you've been through. They can't see the divorce that you had to overcome. They can't see the nights where you've been silent and you couldn't talk to nobody or tell anybody their story. They don't really want your lane. They really don't want your lane. They don't want yours and you don't really want theirs. It was this old statement. What they would say, these boots ain't made for walking. Can you feel these shoes? Your shoes are made just for you. Your storms are made just for you. Your storms typically goes with your purpose. Just check it. Just think about it. Where you are, where you've been, goes with your destiny. It goes with your purpose. And sometimes those things don't even make sense. At the moment that they're happening, they don't even add up. But if you keep walking, you keep showing up, stay in your lane, not everybody else's lane. Because you know what? You can't wear it like she can. You can't do it like he can. But you can do it how God has given it to you. That was a lesson learned. I thought I had to be eloquent in speech. Honey, just be yourself. Now, I thought I had to do it like this and do it like that. No, do it how God has given it to you, because I found out that no one is a carbon copy. We are all originals. We are not carbon copies. And there are some seats you're not supposed to be in. There's some stages you ain't supposed to tap on. Don't worry about it. They didn't call you. You weren't supposed to be called for that. You've been called for something else. So don't let your lane, whether it's big or narrow, small or short, stop you from getting to your destination. But you want to make sure you're in God's lane, the lane that He had already prepared for you. Because He says the steps of a righteous man, they're ordered by God. And sometimes we're in the wrong lane, trying to be. Can I say, let me give you I'm just going to say how it is. In the wrong lane, trying to be he when you were she, and trying to be a she and you were he. You better get into your right lane. I'm just saying, it is what it is. Get into your right lane. No, no, no. Your original lane. The lane that you were ordained from the beginning before you was in your mother's womb. I'm talking about that lane. Don't stop, no one beating. I'm just saying, because sometimes we ain't in our right lanes. Let me say it again for the people in the back. Get in your lanes. Instead of she trying to be a he and he trying to be a she. No, 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 no. Get in your lanes. Get into your path that God chosen. Destiny's waiting on you. The finish line is waiting on you to get there. Now, we didn't say how easy or how difficult it's going to be and what kind of training and preparation you got to go through to get there, or some of the traumas you have to face, but just make sure you get there. Real talk. Like any athlete, you gotta prepare, you gotta eat well, you gotta train well. So I don't know where you are right now, or what your lane looks like. Y'all, excuse me, I need to sip. I know, cause he and she is they getting in their lanes. Do you excuse? They getting in their lanes, coming out of everybody else's lane and getting into their own lane. There was a moment in my own destiny I had to get in my own lane. Cause excuse me, cause can't nobody do it like you. There was moments where I had to get into my own lane. I always drew and I used to be like, oh, how am I gonna get there, and how am I gonna do this, and I don't know how I'm gonna do this, and how this is gonna work. Lord, how are you gonna use me to get me here? Just keep living, keep being obedient. The way is being made, and sometimes in our lanes, people can see us, but we can't see ourselves. People are cheering us on. We don't even know where we're going. How are we gonna get there? But they're cheering us on. Queens and kings, I want to tell you today, prince and princesses, mans, boys and girls, get into your lane. And this is a real conversation. And as a woman, can I just say that? Queen, get in your lane. Get in your lane. And sometimes we're trying to compare ourselves, compete. This is not a competition. This is not a competition. This is your life. This is your destiny. This is your purpose. Just be you. Just be you and be your authentic self. I remember telling God this. I said, Lord, if you want me to fulfill my purpose, let me be who you created me to be. I don't want to be anybody else. I don't want man to make me to be what they want me to be based on tradition and religion. Let me just be me. And as long as I can be me, I can get the job done. That's how them 30 minutes also came into play. That kingdom fitness, it started out with self-love, and then now it turned into a kingdom fitness, because once you get it for yourself, you're going to go and give it out to somebody else. But I said, Lord, let me just be me, because you sometimes people think that the truth or the gospel has to come from a pulpit perspective. No, it can come as simply through 30 minutes of kingdom fitness, 30 minutes of self-love. You don't know how he will use you to bring what he already purposed for you to do. Don't let nobody put you in a box. We say that often, but really don't let nobody put you in a box. You're talking about a person who's been ordained, yeah, that's not important to me, but so be it. Nah, let me walk this thing out, but let me be who I am. Because if you box me in, I can't get the job done. Let me just be me. Listen, so to ask God today, Lord, let me just be me, doing what you called me and purposed me to do, not looking a certain shape or fashion according to what they think I should look like to get the job done. So I'm in my lane, working my spot according how God has called me. When I'm walking out in my 30 minutes, if you haven't caught me, I am on TikTok live 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, walking it out. But I'm in my lane. And a lot of times I'll yell out, "Excuse me." Because in that moment, I am in my space, I am in my element, I am in my spiritual algorithm. Excuse me. So at that moment, I got tunnel vision. I can see what I want. I can see what God is doing. I know how He wants to do it. I know where I've been and I know where I'm going. Excuse me. And sometimes you got to tell the world, you know what, and those around you, excuse me, so you can get to your destination. I just be in my own lane. Listen, it was designed and created just for you. You don't have to have a PhD to do God's business. Some of us don't even know how to read properly. You get it audibly and be able to interpret it. He'll write that thing on the table of your hearts. So don't allow what you don't have to stop you from running your race. Stop measuring yourself up and think you got to be equivalent to somebody else. Honey, my hair is short and gone on. Listen, I said that for a reason because sometimes what India Ari say? It's not about my hair. Sometimes you think it if it ain't a certain type of way, you can't go get it. Girl, cut it off and go on. Real talk. Sometimes you say I'm too big, I'm too fat. You know what, girl? You better clean it up, spank it up, and keep it moving. Don't allow what your what you think, because he said, as a man thinking in his heart, so was he. Think yourself big, think yourself great, think yourself, when I say big, I mean in Christ. Don't get it twisted. Think yourself big in Christ. Think yourself confident. Think yourself bold. Think yourself grand, as far as Christ, or think yourself as more than a conqueror. Let me just bring it, chime it in. But think as a man thinking in his heart, so is he. Get in your lane. I am more than a conqueror. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I'm the head and not the tail. Listen to me. I'm going to finish this race. I don't care how bad it's been, how difficult it's been. I'm going to finish this race. Some of you right now is in somebody else's lane. I need you to get up and get out because you can't lay hands on. You know what? Let me just say, I'm just saying. Be your own original, authentic self. Be your own original, authentic self. And don't let nobody put your shine out, or nobody dim who you are as an individual. Maybe you was the black sheep of your family. Tell them bye, 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 bye. Because here I come. You know what? Bye, bye, bye. Real talk. And Jesus left the one, just left the 99 to go get the one. So it doesn't matter what your background. Can I say that again? Bye, 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 bye. Black sheep, bye, 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 bye. Listen, and let me tell you something about them black sheep. They be the strongest, tallest, boldest, most confident, the ones that God will use to accomplish His task. That's a whole. Maybe we have that conversation for another day on another note. Hey, black sheep, bye, 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 bye. Them be them originals, the ones that are set apart. Got your own lane. On TikTok, I think they call them algorithms. Can I just say algorithms? So you get these algorithms going, get in your own lane and get your own algorithm. Create your brand, create your content. Can I just say it like it is, real talk? It's really find your groove. Make your mistakes, get back up. Find your good and your bad points, get back up. Use the things that were meant to take you out, get back in your lane. Use them as opportunities. That's my thing. Use them as opportunities. That's a good way to put it. Use your downfalls or your mistakes as opportunities to get back up, to get into your lane and go again. Because life is it's a learning experience. Some things you're going through for other people so they don't have to go that way. So, Queen, get up. Get up. Rise up and get in your lane. I get frustrated sometimes. I'm gonna be very honest with you. You know how you ever what they say, stop beating a dead horse? You ever met a person who just keep beating the dead horse? Or if you don't get up from there. Prime example, when I used to go through my journey or my issues, I always found myself like at the altar because they trained you to go to the altar just crying and crying and crying and crying. I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Enough is enough. You know, you have to eventually take that moment. You know, you got to run going to the altar as long as you're going to do something with it. Ain't nothing wrong laying it down at the altar if you ain't going to pick it back up. Ain't nothing wrong going to the altar if you ain't going to learn, if you learning how to get in your lane. But just to constantly use that as a place of comfort, a place that you think that's where all miracles happen. I got news for you. They can happen in your living room, in your kitchen, in your dining, in your bedroom. Matter of fact, that might be happening right now. You know what? Get in your lane, find your space, and you work it a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And you use all those pieces to get you to greater places. So I want to tell you today to stay in your lane, stay in your own space. Create you something. Now real talk, I learned to create my own. I have created my space. I've created my space. I created my space in Queen Rise Up. I created my space in Kingdom Fitness. I created my space on YouTube. I created my space on Facebook. I created the space. I created the space where I wanted to get up to on a daily basis. And I won't say just as an I, but being led by Christ at the end of the day. So find that space. Find that, find that algorithm. And you don't and then people start looking for you. You ain't gotta go, you can mind you mind over here. I'd be like, what do you want? I'm over here minding my business. I'll be minding my business in my lane, and they'd be like, knock, knock, knock. Well, let me now when you come knocking, don't put me in your lane. Let me work in my lane. You knocked on my door, minding my business in my lane. So when I open the door to your knock, don't expect me to get into your lane. That's not what I'm getting ready to do. If you don't want what I have, or that person doesn't want what you bringing to the table, what you laying down, tell them don't knock on your door. And that's a real conversation because you want to be in your own lane. You want to do what God has given you to do. You want to be your own authentic self. Your own authentic self. Oh, this is gonna be good. Somebody been, you know how you might not even realize that you're comparing yourself to oranges and apples. Mm-mm. Be an orange if you an orange, and be an apple if you an apple. Real talk. So just know to stay in your own lane. Because what God has for you, it is for you. I wasn't always saved, long story short, but I remember being in class. And in class, I was in my own space. Pop collar, still to this day. Lipstick, I just was in my own space. And it's just how I was. I believe that came over with me in a positive way, if I can say that, in a God way, um, of creating, of walking in my own space, because He doesn't take our personalities away from us. I'm so glad that He doesn't take our personalities away from us. He refined them, but He doesn't take them away from us. He refines them for His purpose. He refines them so that we can now be used, as vessels and instruments for His glory. Um, I'm sure if you had a loud mouth then, you have a loud mouth now, but just in the right tone, in the right lane. Can I just say that? If you was running a little fast, then you probably get over here in the kingdom of God and start running fast. But kingdom running, at the end of the day, He doesn't take your personality away from you. Um, he just refines it. So I would encourage you, them and they, whoever that may be, to get in your lane and be the best version of yourself, your best version of you. I really want to thank you so much for joining me today, right here on Queen Rise Up, where we really empower. And I believe the empowerment is not from the outside, it's from the inside up. I've always said that your empowerment, your rising up, is from the inside. I always touch here, I say the inside, but can I tell you, because he that is in you is greater than he that's in this world, it's from the inward man. The more you start to renew your mind, the more you'll be able to power up. Can I tell you? So renew your mind, walk in obedience, get in your lane, and walk your walk and talk your talk. Can I tell you? And that's the real conversation. Long as God is leading. Some people ain't gonna like you. I'm gonna be very honest with you. And that is not for you to decipher or for you to care. Because when you start elevating, it's just part of the process. Oh, they're not gonna like you. No, no, no. But don't let the opinions of others. Matter of fact, when David was getting ready to go up against Goliath, they was like, "Who is you? You the shepherd boy. You can't beat Goliath." He was like, "Y'all want to go ahead and back. I done took out some lions, some tigers, and some bears. Nobody know what you've been through on the back end. So don't let other people's opinions stop you from getting in your lane, walking it out, running it out, sometimes crawling it out." Did I say it? Sometimes crawling it out, but don't you quit. Guys, I do. Once again, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up until next time. Thank you for sitting at this table with me. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for chiming in with me. You can find me on queenriseup.com. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and sometimes Instagram. Guys, I want to thank you. Until you and I meet again, um, hey, watch out for the listening and the posting. We drop it coming soon near you. Thank you for joining me, Queen Rise Up. Until next time.